In the summer of 1934, Edgar Hoover stood before a bank of microphones and declared John Herbert Dillinger the most dangerous man in America, and it was not mere hyperbole, because for 13 months Dillinger had terrorized the Midwest with a string of bank robberies so brazen and violent that they threatened to destabilize the nation's already fragile banking system during the Great Depression. Having escaped from 2 supposedly escape-proof jails, killed a police officer, wounded multiple agents, and turned bank robbery into a spectator sport with crowds cheering him as he fled the scenes of his crimes. So to the FBI, he was not merely a criminal, but an existential threat to federal authority itself. A man who made a mockery of law and order at the precise moment when the government most needed to project strength. Dillinger's path to infamy began in Indianapolis in 1903. The son of a strict, devoutly religious grocer, bright but restless, a natural athlete who chafed against authority from adolescence, and after his mother died when he was 16, his father withdrew into grief and silence, leaving the boy to wander until he enlisted in the Navy but deserted within months, drifted into petty crime, and in 1924 at age 20 made a catastrophic mistake by robbing a local grocer with a friend, beating the man with an iron bolt, after which the friend got a light sentence, but Dillinger, judged the ringleader, received 10 to 20 years at the Indiana State Reformatory, where prison did not reform him but educated him. For inside the walls of Michigan City, he fell in with a cabal of hardened bank robbers who taught him everything they knew about casing targets, disabling alarms, and handling firearms, and he studied their methods obsessively, practicing lockpicking and memorizing the layouts of rural banks, so that when he was paroled in 1933 after serving 9 years, he emerged not as a reformed man, but as a professional who immediately began planning to liberate his mentors. On September 26, 1933, Dillinger smuggled guns into the Indiana State Prison and orchestrated a mass escape, and within days he had assembled a gang and begun robbing banks across Indiana and Ohio with military precision, using stolen Ford V-8s as getaway cars, submachine guns for intimidation, and lookouts who posed as ordinary customers, striking in broad daylight, often in under 4 minutes. And Dillinger became famous for leaping over teller counters and stuffing cash into bags himself, while the public, battered by bank foreclosures during the Depression, watched with something approaching admiration, because here was a man taking back what the banks had stolen from ordinary people. But the violence escalated, and in January 1934, Dillinger and his gang raided the First National Bank of East Chicago, and as they fled, a police officer named William O'Malley opened fire. So Dillinger returned it and killed him instantly, a murder that transformed him from a folk hero into a wanted killer and made Edgar Hoover, desperate to build his fledgling Bureau of Investigation into a national police force, make Dillinger his obsession, flooding the Midwest with agents, authorizing shoot-to-kill orders, and pushing through federal laws that would become the foundation of modern federal policing. Dillinger responded with audacity, and in March 1930, before he escaped from the Lake County Jail in Crown Point, Indiana, supposedly the most secure jail in the state, using a wooden pistol carved from a washboard and blackened with shoe polish, then taunting the sheriff with a fake gun before driving away in the sheriff's own Ford. And 2 weeks later, he and his gang, including the infamous baby-faced Nelson, holed up at the Little Bohemia Lodge in northern Wisconsin, where the FBI surrounded them in the early morning darkness, but in the ensuing chaos, agents killed a civilian by mistake and wounded 2 others while Dillinger and his crew slipped through the woods and escaped, a humiliation that made national headlines and turned the FBI into a laughingstock. For 3 more months, Dillinger hid in Chicago, undergoing plastic surgery to alter his appearance and dye his hair, carrying a loaded .45 everywhere, sleeping in different apartments every night, and trusting almost no one. But he made one fatal error by falling into a predictable pattern, and on July 22, 1934, he took his girlfriend Polly Hamilton and Anna Sage, a Romanian madam facing deportation, who had agreed to inform for the FBI, to a movie at the Biograph Theater to see Manhunt, melodrama, with Sage wearing an orange dress as a signal. And as the trio emerged into the warm Chicago night, federal agents led by Melvin Purvis closed in. Dillinger sensed the trap and reached for his pistol, but 3 bullets struck him in the back of the head, and he died on the sidewalk in a pool of blood, his face turned toward the theater marquee, 20 feet from the alley where he had planned to run. The man who had been declared the most dangerous in America was dead at 31, but his death did not end his legend because it cemented it. with 10,000 people viewing his body at the morgue, souvenir hunters dipping handkerchiefs in his blood, and the wooden gun from Crown Point becoming a museum piece, while the FBI, which had failed repeatedly to catch him alive, used his corpse as a foundation of its modern mythology, proof that federal agents could hunt down anyone no matter how dangerous or how admired.